Pokémon Legends ZA is the latest installment in the Pokémon series, and one of Game Freak's most experimental projects to date. It serves as both the second entry in the Legends sub-series of games, and as a follow-up to the Generation 6 titles Pokémon X and Y, who notably are the only pair of games in the franchise to this date to never receive an upper version, in the vein of titles like Pokémon Platinum or Black 2 and White 2. It pulls a bit from Legends Arceus, a bit from X and Y, and a bit from Monolith Soft's Xenoblade Chronicles to make the most unique Pokémon experience yet. It's not perfect, but it's a bold step in a new direction for the Pokémon franchise, and an approach to the series that I doubt we'll ever see replicated again. Legends ZA is a game that takes place after the events of Pokémon X and Y, where the Kalos region is still feeling the after effects of Team Flare's terror attack 5 years prior. Lumios City is undergoing an extensive redevelopment program to revitalize interest in the city, and it's in this new Lumios where you'll spend the entirety of your time in ZA. During the day, you'll capture Pokémon in the city's new wild zones and complete side quests for Detective Emma, a returning character from X and Y. When night falls, you compete with the best of Lumios' Pokémon trainers in the ZA Royale, a ranked battle league that turns the city streets into a Pokémon war zone. Throughout it all, you'll work with a colorful cast of characters to uncover the secrets behind the mysterious rogue Mega Pokémon that keep popping up around the city. As much as I love cities, I was swayed by online fears that the map wouldn't have much to do. Thankfully, those fears were mostly dispelled. Lumios is an absolute joy to explore. The map makes excellent use of verticality. Almost every building is scalable, and it's a lot of fun to jump from rooftop to rooftop catching Pokémon. There's scaffolding all over, which not only feels true to city living, but also provides for fun side parkour challenges with genuinely beneficial rewards. None of the courses are particularly hard, but it adds welcome variety to the exploration. The wild zones vary in size. Some are pretty small, but many are larger than they initially appear and involve multi-tiered level design. I can't help but wish the game had a larger Pokédex to give these zones a little bit more life. I know that ecologically a city can't host hundreds of diverse creatures, but the small rosters of the wild zones paired with the gradual unlocking of each area means I would capture every Pokémon in each new wild zone in a matter of minutes. A roster of 300 or so Pokémon rather than the game's 230 would have made Lumios feel a lot more full, although I do appreciate that not every Pokémon is found in a wild zone. It was really exciting every time I was hopping across rooftops and came across a rare Pokémon. The ability to get outside the city would have made the map a bit stronger as well. I'm not saying I want to leave and visit Kalos' other towns, as I think the intentional Lumios focus is one of the most compelling aspects of the game, and visiting other locations would weaken the core experience. But the map is lacking a bit in diversity. There's a contrast here between thematic intent and gameplay enjoyment. I can understand how turning segments of the city into areas for wild creatures to roam makes for a compelling narrative issue, but from a player perspective, some of these zones are just really small. I've been to Paris. It has a bunch of large, beautiful parks. The in-game Lumios never feels like it quite matches that scale. If the game offered a perimeter just outside Lumios City, where we got to see portions of the floral gardens of Route 4, the marshy Route 14, the autumnal Route 16, or the Route 13 Badlands, it would have made for a Lumios that feels less confined while still keeping the game within city limits. The city might also feel less restricting if there were more ways of getting around it. There are no roller skates or mounts in ZA. Exploration's done entirely on foot. This game's a sequel to X and Y, the games that introduced riding on Pokémon, so the exclusion of alternate movement options is bizarre. Lumios already has an established ride Pokémon service with the Go-Goat shuttle. It would have made the perfect choice for getting around the city faster. It's also surprising that there's never any option to fly or surf around the map. I want to fly back up to rooftops I've fallen off, or be able to cross the water on the map without leaving the wild zone I'm in to take a bridge over it. Navigating the world was such a joy in Arceus and the Paldea games because they were expansive movement options. This feels like taking a step backwards. That being said, I can't say I don't respect the commitment to keeping ZA entirely within the walls of the city. It's a unique vision that definitely turns people off. This game continues Switch-era Pokemon's dedication to trying new things with the franchise, and while I can't say it 100% hit the mark for me here, I think it is a bold choice. I'd rather the series swing and miss a little than just never swing at all. Considering just how distinct it is, I'm actually very curious to see how this game is looked back on in the years to come. If I had to describe ZA in one word, it would be intimate. This is the smallest Pokemon game yet in scope. You aren't embarking on a grand adventure through a whole region, but a much more personal journey in just one location. But in my 30 hours with the game's main story, that one location started to feel like home. You get to know this city and its inhabitants so well. Hotel Z reminds me a lot of Arceus' Jubilife Village, the home base that you return to after a long day. It's no coincidence that both Arceus and ZA involve debriefing with the cast over a meal after every major story beat. There's a simple comfort in the familiarity you gain with these characters. They don't just feel like NPCs that pop up from time to time on your journey. They're the family you come home to. Lumios has a beating heart that's unlike any other locale in the series. I have to attribute a lot of that heart to the game's fantastic writing. ZA is, without a doubt, the funniest game in the series. The character writing is brimming with personality. Every NPC has something interesting to say, and it makes Lumios feel so alive. Everyone in the city is quirky and weird, and I felt compelled to talk to every single person I came across. The side quests are often bite-sized glimpses into the day-to-day life of Lumios citizens. They're really cute, and they add a lot of color to this world. I found myself laughing out loud multiple times at important characters and random NPCs alike. A major theme of the game is coexistence. It's an extension of the themes of XY, and it's done beautifully here. Lumios' redevelopment is a hot-button issue in the city, with a lot of people upset because their spaces are being co-opted for wild Pokemon. There's a general air of uncertainty about whether this is really coexistence with Pokemon at all, if there are these physical walls separating people and Pokemon. Every character has a unique perspective on the world and what would be best for Kalos. Some are for redeveloping the city, others are against it. Some think Team Flare are terrorists, and others think they're misunderstood heroes. The game doesn't ever offer one correct point of view, it just presents people how they are and lets you draw your own conclusions. It's not lost on me that a game that serves as a second chance for X and Y's story is filled with characters who are all undergoing their own second chances. I think that's why Emma's front and center on the box art. She's a thesis statement of sorts for the characters of this game. As a girl who spent her childhood on the streets until she was taken in by Looker, her life was redefined when she was given a second chance. AZ is a man who spent 3,000 years atoning for his sins and has only recently made peace with himself. Mabel is a reformed terrorist who now does Pokemon research. The Team MZ cast all found their way to Hotel Z because they're trying again at striving towards their dreams after hitting rock bottom. I can't say much more than that without spoiling the story, but there's a clear through line with every character you meet that makes them an important piece of the ZA puzzle. The supporting characters are a menagerie of deeply charming, deeply flawed weirdos. The contrast between all their strong personalities helps the game feel like a love letter to city living, the kind of societal structure that not only thrives but can't survive without a diverse community of people who all somehow find a way to coexist. Pokemon has largely been considered a franchise with bare bones and simplistic stories by the gaming public, but they often have a lot more to offer than people tend to give them credit for. ZA joins the club with Sun and Moon and Scarlet and Violet in being Pokemon games that actually made me tear up with meaningful scenes that caught me completely by surprise. ZA's overall story doesn't quite reach the upper echelon of storytelling those games established, but it comes close thanks largely to its lovable cast. These characters are made extra vivid thanks to ZA's fantastic art direction. Pokemon always knocks it out of the park with character design, and this game might be their best designed cast yet. Every character looks incredible. Updated characters from XY like Emma and AZ look even better than they did 12 years ago. New characters like Kanari, Eivor, Gwyn, Corbeau, and Jasant have fantastic, memorable designs that perfectly portray their personalities at a glance. I liked the realistic look of Scarlet and Violet, but this game's rendering style is clean and colorful. It feels like a halfway point between Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet. Some Pokemon still have a subtle texture, like the scales on Tyranitar or the metallic sheen of Steel-type Pokemon. The colors are super vibrant too. The game really pops on the Switch 2 screen. Each Pokemon is more alive here than ever. Their animations are absolutely incredible, and clearly a tremendous amount of love and care has been put into making them act and move like real creatures. There are a ton of Pokemon that I previously felt more or less ambivalent towards that I now want to use on my team. Watchog is a great example of this. It's full of so much character in ZA, its walk cycle is absolutely hilarious. And the new Megas are a great blend of cool, cute, and goofy. They definitely have their own flavor compared to Gen 6's Mega designs, and each new design was really exciting to see. Some had me in awe, some made me laugh out loud. loud, but I really like just about all of them. A few of the designs aren't quite to my tastes, but that was also true for older megas. My all-time favorite mega was actually introduced in this game. Game Freak seem to have taken the criticisms of Scarlet and Violet to heart, because they've really delivered a quality gameplay experience here. I played the Switch 2 version and the performance was a dream. The game ran at a constant 60 FPS the entire time, and I experienced no bugs or slowdown. Performance was especially important to nail in ZA because this game turns the franchise on its head, trading the usual turn-based combat for a real-time action system much akin to Xenoblade. Battles are now quick and snappy, a feat which would not have been achievable in a game like Scarlet and Violet. For their first foray into real-time combat, the results are surprisingly competent. Every one of the game's 247 moves had to be reworked to fit this new fighting style, so strategies end up playing out very differently in ZA. It was fun to try each new move to learn how it functioned. I preferred alternating between large area of effect moves like Earthquake and Surf, and weaker, quick moves like Aqua Jet or Rock Smash to quickly take down opponents. But I have friends who found they relied a lot more on status-affecting moves in this game than in turn-based entries. Boss battles with rampaging Pokémon make their return from Legends Arceus, and I find they're a lot more consistent here. They could stand to be a bit harder, particularly the final battle and some of the post-game fights, but they were largely enjoyable. Arceus' fights were more frustrating, but as someone who enjoys a challenge, I did find that unfortunately this game has no equivalent to fights like Electrode, Avalugg, or Arceus, which I find really tested your reaction time. However, I think the ZA fights find a much better synergy between the Pokemon battling and the trainer survival aspect than Arceus, who kept these two things largely separate. ZA blends them together, and it makes battles with large groups of Pokemon and alphas much more terrifying. They will absolutely try to kill you, the trainer, as well as your Pokemon. ZA's gameplay feels very different from the core series, but it still feels distinctly Pokémon. Team composition is more interesting than ever because each Pokémon has such a unique playstyle owed to their size, speed, and move pool. You really find yourself wanting to try out a variety of Pokémon just to see how they feel to use in battle. The addition of plus moves feels like both a successor to the strong style gimmick from Legends Arceus and a clever solution to not every Pokémon getting a Mega Evolution. If you press the plus button before selecting a move, your Pokémon will use up a quarter of your Mega Gauge to unleash a more powerful attack. While I used a full team of Mega Evolvable Pokemon, I didn't unlock a majority of their Mega Stones until late in the story. Plus moves help my Pokemon go toe-to-toe with Megas without getting completely destroyed. I'm a big fan. It's a very thoughtful workaround for the Mega power imbalance. I think ZA has established a strong foundation for future Legends titles to build upon. For now, I can't say I prefer the real-time battles to turn-based quite yet, but with more iteration, I could see it being the most exciting gameplay Pokemon has to offer. While battling your way through Lumios, ZA treats you to one of the best soundtracks in the series. Game Freak brought on board musician Carlos Eni, who posts on YouTube under the name Insane in the Rain Music, as an arranger for this game. Considering Eni's history of jazz renditions of video game music, I would be absolutely shocked if it wasn't his influence that gave us the gorgeous saxophone on Lumios City's Night theme, a new favorite track of mine. The music adds so much to the city's atmosphere. Hotel Z's theme transforms the lobby into a relaxing safe haven. High-tempo battle themes get you pumped up for the next fight, and the way they dynamically flow from the overworld themes makes for a fluid transition from exploration to combat to exploration again. This soundtrack is a delight, even in a franchise long known for fantastic music. Pokémon Legends ZA is a weird game. It's the kind of game that could only be made in modern Game Freak's era of experimentation. When the core series goes bigger than ever before, this game goes smaller than ever. It's a sequel to XY that intentionally excludes most of X and Y's characters and region. It's a follow-up to Legends Arceus that dials way back on catching and exploration, the core of that game. They could have made a Z version that retreads X and Y with a bit more content tacked on. They could have made another Legends game set in the past with 5 open areas to explore. But they didn't do that. They made ZA. They made a game so completely unlike anything else they've ever done. It sends a clear message. Game Freak are not intent on playing it safe. This franchise has long been considered predictable. The Legends series is a countermeasure, a vessel for Pokémon that can take any shape. It might not appeal to everyone. Good art rarely does. And it's clear to me Game Freak is really trying to make good art here. Not a product that satisfies every Pokémon fan, but a project that satisfies them. This isn't the Z version I always wished we got. Honestly, it's probably better. Not everything it tries worked for me, but when it hits, it really hits. This is a little enigma of a game. It satisfies so much of the Kalos fan in me, while leaving me with questions that might never get answered. Or, I don't know, maybe they will. I don't know what the future holds for Kalos, or for anything in Pokemon anymore. This series can go everywhere and be everything, and I can't wait to see what's next. Thanks for watching. That was my little somewhat pretentious spiel about Legends ZA, but I'd love to hear what you thought of the game in the comments. If you liked the video, it would mean the world to me if you liked or subscribed to support the channel. Between the Mega Dimensions DLC and Pokemon Day, there's a lot of Pokemon news coming in the next few months, so stay tuned to this channel if you want to keep up with all the goings on. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one.